Saturn, please grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change. Mars, give us the courage to change the things that we can. And Jupiter, give us the wisdom to know the difference. It's the night of Mars, and I'm Rev Dev, and you're listening to Selene's Gateway Morning Edition. The hymn for the day is the Orphic Hymn to Mars, and it goes as such. Magnanimous, unconquered, boisterous Mars, in darts rejoicing and in bloody wars fierce and untamed, whose mighty power can make the strongest walls from their foundations shake. Mortal destroying king, defiled with gore, pleased with war's dreadful and tumultuous roar, the human blood and swords and spears delight, and the dire ruin of mad savage fight. Stay furious contests and avenging strife, whose work with woe embitter human life, to lovely Venus and to Bacchus yield, to Circes give the weapons of the field. Encourage peace, to gentle works inclined, and give abundance with benign mind. And so it is. And so hopefully we can see a peaceful Mars. Mars is going to be moving into Taurus soon, not soon enough. But one of the things that I remember about the big shift, the big significance of Mars moving into Taurus was during 2020, where we had, or 2021, I should say, the January 6th riot was taking place, and Mars had been in Aries for a really long time. It went retrograde in Aries during 2020, and so there were blistering, exploding forest fire trees. There was in Portland, where I lived at the time, there was over 100 straight days of protests in coincidence with justice for George Floyd and many other things, and just so much tension. And it really was culminating with this January 6th thing, with all these different things that had been stirred in the pot, through all of 2020. This January 6th thing was, riot, insurrection, you know, was just a very pinnacle moment. But then almost as if clockwork, but actually as it is clockwork, because astrology is clockwork, uh Mars moved from Aries into Taurus, and the whole fiasco just fizzled out. Everybody just basically packed up and went home. There was brutal aftermath, so forth and so on. But I just remember that energy shift of Mars moving from Aries to Taurus just being so palatable, so palpable. It was just incredible. We'll see if we see a similar effect in the coming weeks as Mars moves closer to the edge of Taurus. The tides for the day are going to be as follows. The first high tide for the day peaks at around 3:24 a.m. The second tide drops down low at 12:15 p.m. The third high tide, or the third tide, is a high tide, and it comes in at 3:35 p.m. And the last low tide goes out at 12:11 a.m., just after midnight on the 13th. As always, the tide times are relative for each time zone and don't need to be adjusted for zone time because they're relative to where the moon is going to be in your area. The shadow hours for the day are as follows. The shadow hour for the daylight hours is from 9:28 a.m. till 11:18 a.m., and this will mostly affect those with the nodes in either Capricorn or Aquarius, or with Saturn sharing a sign with the nodes. And the shadow hour for the night hours are from 3:26 a.m. on the 13th till 4:36 a.m. and will mostly affect those with the nodes in Scorpio or Aries, and also if Mars is sharing a sign with the nodes. As always, these are great hours to work on remediation. If you don't know what remediation is, sign up for a remediation reading from me. There's plenty of other astrologers that offer remediation as well. Or just simply observe and take notes about the things that happen and try to adjust your life accordingly. For the whole list of shadow days and hours, as well as an explanation, please download Selene's Almanac Spring Quarter from my Patreon. You will also find an explanation for the energy tides as well. Now let's move into the astrology. The moon gets busier today. Actually, she's pretty busy right now, so to speak. Uh, she's ending her trine with Jupiter. She's gonna sextile the sun, and before the night is over, she'll square Venus, and then will be void in sign for the next 14 hours. And then after she's done being void in sign, she'll move into Aries at 5:03 Pacific, 8:03 Eastern PM. The other big transit for the day is that Mercury sextile Jupiter, although, Jupiter is going to try to be helpful, especially since he's exalted currently. But this is a very combust Mercury, and I talked about it yesterday, and I'm not going to go too much deeper into it today, but I kind of feel like this is just easing Mercury's pain. This is just kind of making it less bad. And that's going to happen closer to the end of the night, possibly even at midnight on the East Coast and around uh, 8 to 10 p.m. here on the West Coast. So now let's bring in our reflection for the day. The reflection for the day is the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups is a primordial signification card. The Ace of Cups is all of the Cups cards in one card. It is the ever-flowing fountain of emotional context and connectivity. And it can also just signify things like love. The keywords that I'm using today are love, new relationships, compassion, creativity, self-love, intuition, and repressed emotions. And yeah, and the cups are always about emotions. And I like to say that the word emotions is a wounded word in Western culture because we often associate things like heaviness, grief, sadness with the feelings that arise when we use the word emotions. But joy, happiness, celebration, these two are emotions and deserve a seat at the table. The Ace of Cups is the ever-flowing fountain. It's a wellspring. It's the ability to find nourishment in the vast emptiness of everything that ever was and ever will be. And the way that we can look at the Ace of Cups in our life is we want to consider or think about how full our cup is. Is it overflowing? Do we feel safe? Do we feel satisfied in the areas of intimacy and connectivity? And if not, what can we do to fill our cups? How can we help facilitate the flow of emotions through our physical experience? The cups are also good for, creative endeavors because Emotions are what connect us not just to people, but also to events, times, things that happen, things that make us feel comfortable and unified. So maybe reflect upon where your creative source is coming from. Is it an ever-flowing fountain? Can you trust that it will remain untapped except for by your own hands? I think the Ace of Cups may also be pointing to the abundance of Jupiter. Jupiter, trining Moon before it leaves the sign of Pisces, and also its sextile to Mercury while it's being combust. Maybe Jupiter is lending a helping hand. And that's what the Ace of Cups is pointing us at, though. Here's what the image looks like in the Light Seer Tarot. I love this Ace of Cups. I think that it's really beautiful and it just does a good job representing the flow of emotions. The key words that author likes to use is love, new relationships, compassion, creativity, self-love, intuition, and repressed emotions. Repressed emotions is definitely something that I'm trying not to do. And so I'll share a little bit about what that means for me. Yesterday was the anniversary of the second time that my mom is not of the physical, living, breathing plane. Um, for Mother's Day, she passed away in 2024 of liver failure, hence one of the reasons why I use a modified version of the Serenity Prayer at the beginning of the podcast. Her death is really what initiated a sober journey for me, and I kind of characterize that on here with y'all. New relationships, love, compassion, creativity, self-love, intuition, repressed emotions. Self-love is also, a big thing to work on and is a very worthy thing to reflect on for today, especially during that void and sign period that the moon is experiencing from early in the morning for 14 hours until sometime around uh, 5 o'clock in the evening. The author also likes to use the words awakening the heart, newfound emotions, positive outcomes, oneness, bliss, and creativity. I like this newfound emotions because it really speaks to the heart of the Ace of Cups' ability to inspire creativity. And the concept of making new connections with people can create newfound emotions. Like, we only have so many ways of expressing love, but people that we cherish are all individuals, and we don't love them all the same. And so this newfound emotions really speaks to me about how we connect, newly finding ways to connect, and how that opens up our hearts. The mantra for the day from the Light Seer Tarot is my heart is open and filled with love. This speaks to the principle that the Ace of Cups is not empty. It's full of emotions. It's full and ready to be let in and let out and have a cathartic experience. Um, and it's only when we allow our own Ace of Cups to be full, that we then have enough to start sharing with others. And so I really like this mantra for this. My heart is open and filled with love. My heart is open and filled with love. My heart is open with filled in love. And to that, I'd like to add, so I may share with others as they would like to be shared with. As always, we'll wrap up just as the way we began, as a way to close the circle. And it goes as follows: Saturn, please grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change. Mars, give us the courage to change the things we can. And Jupiter, give us the wisdom to know the difference. May the fire inside guide you. You've been listening to Celanese Gateway Morning Edition. You can find my almanac at Patreon and Celanese Gateway. You can schedule a tarot or astrology reading from me at celanesegateway.com. And on social media, I'm known as the Esoteric Butcher.